Welcome. So today I wanted to talk about this paradox in life. The paradox between the one activity that we do, the very same activity, can either have a negative effect on us or it can have a positive effect on us. That very same activity can be harmful for us, yet it can also be helpful for us. Now, what distinguishes if this activity is good for us or bad for us? How do we change this? From what I've experienced and what I've noticed, that when we bring more consciousness into what we're doing, when we bring more soul, more awareness into the activity that we're doing, it can help to transform that activity from something negative to something positive. Also, to add to that, when we are very intentional behind the activity, if we are doing the activity and we are consciously aware of why we are doing the activity, what is the reason, what is our intention behind us doing the activity. And when we have conscious awareness around our intention, and we are very intentional with whatever that activity may be, it can help to shift and transform and alchemize that activity from something negative, harmful, and depleting us to something that is positive, that is helping us, that is uplifting us. So if we are doing these activities and we are doing them from a place of unconscious, a place of no awareness, and we don't have any intention behind why we're doing it, we're just doing it, it's like an autopilot, it's very robotic, and it's just an unconscious addiction or a habit, and we may be doing it because society tells us to do it, our friends tell us to do it, it's what's expected from us, or we're doing it basically because we have a drive to do it from a biological drive, a need to feel that pleasure, a need to feel good or to feel sensorial pleasure, to feel the senses. So we can be driven by conditioning, we can be driven by our biological drives, we can be driven by our ego, just being driven by being unconscious and everyone else is doing it, so I want to fit in. You're getting caught up in the groupthink, the wanting to belong. So you do activities that may not really resonate with you, and they may not be your highest calling, but you're doing them just to fit in. You're doing them because you've done them for years. It's just a habit, and it's something that you're used to doing. So this is usually when we do things in an unconscious manner. And so when we do these things in an unconscious manner, they can have a negative effect on us. But when we are more intentional, when we are more conscious of what we're doing and why we are doing it, what is my purpose, what is my reasoning behind doing this activity? And when we just have that simple switch, we bring that consciousness into what we're doing and seeing, why am I doing this? What's my intention behind doing this? Why? What is the point and the purpose of me doing this activity right now? And so I catch myself many times, say I'm scrolling through Facebook or Instagram, and I catch myself in unconscious territory, just scrolling unconsciously, and then I take a breath, I find my moment, I find my center, and I say, why am I here? What is my intention behind being on this app right now? And when I do that, I start to bring this consciousness back, and I realize, I'm just scrolling unconsciously. There's no purpose in me looking at all this crap that's on there. I'm actually here to post a story. I'm actually here to advertise something or to make a post, or I'm actually here to communicate to someone. And then I can do that activity, which is very helpful, which is very positive, and I can close the app and move on. But see, there's many areas in life that we fall into this. Many areas where we do things unconsciously, we're not aware of what we're doing, and so it becomes a negative and detrimental thing. Being on your phone, for example, watching television, they are amazing tools, fantastic tools. But when we are unconscious, when we are not using these tools with our conscious awareness, and we are not using these tools intentionally, they can have a very harmful effect on our health. And you can see, for example, if I was to just watch any random show on television, it's not very intentional, is it? I'm just unconsciously watching whatever's there, and then I'm getting bombarded and programmed and shown all this information that I didn't necessarily choose. I wasn't very intentional behind that. But the very same television, I can be very intentional, and I can watch a documentary on spirituality, on meditation. I can listen to a self-help person. I can listen to someone teaching me things about breathing, things about laughing, things about meditation. So it can be a very, very helpful tool if I'm very aware and consciously aware of the activity that I'm doing, and I'm intentionally saying I'm turning on the TV to watch A, B, and C. If I just turn on the TV unconsciously and allow the TV to do what it wants, then that's not very good for me. And of course, sometimes people are still choosing. We're always choosing what we're viewing, what we're doing in these activities. But we may be choosing again from that biological nature. We're choosing from the social conditioning. We're choosing because we want to get an instant gratification. So we may choose shows and things to watch that aren't necessarily good for us, and we may be somewhat aware that it's not good for us, but we still do it. And we are human, and it's okay to watch things and do things on our phone every now and again that aren't always that beneficial for us. But it's good to just start to gauge and get some awareness around these areas in our life, and that if we can just bring more consciousness into what we're doing, it can help to transform. So some other examples when it comes to this is breathing. Now, for example, if we are breathing through our mouth, it is very, very bad for us, right? And most of the planet breathe through their mouth unconsciously. So when we do this, it's very bad for our health. But if we are intentional about breathing through our mouth and we decide to do a breathwork routine, there's lots of breathwork practices. If we are conscious and we are choosing to consciously breathe through our mouth and be very intentional, that can be a very healing process and transforming process for us. So the very same activity of mouth breathing can transform when we are very intentional and we are very conscious about the activity. Same with breath holds. Most people are holding their breath unconsciously, and that is not good. It's causing anxiety. We're not exhaling, we're not clearing stale oxygen. All right, so we're not allowing that exhale to be long enough so that we can bring in fresh chi and fresh prana. So most people are holding their breath at their chest, and that's creating anxiety. But if you look, a lot of yogic practices, a lot of meditation practices, there are breath holds, which are very, very good for you to practice. Again, when you're practicing it consciously and when you're practicing it with intention, for a reason, not unconsciously. So what are other examples when we are exercising unconsciously? If we are doing an exercise very unconsciously, we're not very intentional with why we're going to the gym or why we are exercising in that moment. We may just be doing it because we heard it's good for us to do and we know it's good for our health. We may be doing it because it's expected of us. There may be an intention to look good. That self-image, we want to look good to attract the opposite sex. So we've got to really look at our intentions. Why are we going to the gym? And again, if you bring more consciousness into while you're exercising, that's going to be very beneficial for you, because a lot of people, again, when they practice exercise, they're doing it too hard. So they're overly, exercising, and they're putting a lot of strain on their body. They're putting a lot of strain on their organs, and they're, again, back to the mouth breathing, they're unconsciously mouth breathing while they're training. And that is not necessarily good for you, especially if you're someone who experiences a lot of anxiety and stress, and you've got a low immune system, and then you go and exercise and you're pushing yourself to the fullest degree, and then you're mouth breathing, you're huffing and puffing, like that's putting strain on your body. That's actually not good for your longevity. So again, if you're very intentional with going to the gym and you bring conscious awareness into what the exercise, you'll notice that it will slow down. The exercise itself will be a lot better for you. It will be more in that parasympathetic response as well while you're training. The airflow will be a lot better. You might notice that you're breathing through your nose while you're exercising if it's more conscious. And this goes to, whether it's yoga, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's running, whether it's playing sports, whatever it may be. If you bring more consciousness into what you're doing, it's going to be a lot more beneficial for you. Another example is eating food. If you are more conscious while you're eating the food and very intentional with why you're eating the food, what are you eating it for? Is it to make you feel good? Or is it for nutrition? Or is it because it's dinner time and that's what society says you need to eat dinner? Is it because it's breakfast, you need to eat breakfast? Is it because it's lunch? Or are you eating because you're hungry? Are you being intentional? Are you listening to your body? Are you hungry? What does your body require from you right now? And then while you're eating it, are you being present with the activity? Are you doing that activity and then doing another activity and another activity? You're doing multiple activities at once and then not fully present with the one activity. So this is going to, of course, have an effect on the activity that you're doing. So again, if you're more intentional with why you're eating, what you're eating, and then bring that awareness, that consciousness into what you're doing, you'll actually notice that you will digest the food better. And if you eat unconsciously, it's a stress response that you're in, and you're not going to digest properly. You're in a fight or flight mode while you're eating. You're like an animal, and you may not even get satisfied with the eating. You may overeat. You may, eat too much, or you may eat foods that are not good for you because you haven't got the awareness. So for me, for example, years ago, I didn't have the conscious awareness of what I was eating, why I was eating, and I would just eat anything. I would eat garbage food. And now I have more awareness. So when I do eat, there's more consciousness with what I'm eating, and I can feel the difference in my body, and I can breathe and slow down. I can digest my food. I can eat slowly as well when you're eating more consciously. When you're unconscious, it's rah, 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 like an animal. And then you eat everything, you don't think about what you're eating, it's just fast, it's rushed, it's very stressful activity, and that's not good for your body. So when you slow down, when you bring the consciousness, you automatically start to slow down. You eat a chip, you chew on the chip. You chew on it before you swallow it, instead of just swallowing. A lot of people don't chew their foods. A lot of people are just chewing a little bit and then swallowing, chewing a little bit, swallowing, swallowing, instead of chewing it, slowing down, and being more present, more conscious with the activity. Another activity is through self-pleasure or having intimacy with someone else. If we bring more conscious awareness into that activity, it is going to be a lot more healing for us, a lot more transformative for us, a lot more therapeutic for us. If we do that activity unconsciously, like an animal, fast and rushed, whether it's masturbating or whether it's getting intimate with someone, if we do that activity unconsciously, it's going to be very harmful for us, and it's not going to be a positive experience. So if we can bring more conscious awareness into the activity, again, you'll notice that it'll naturally slow down. You'll bring more spirit, And you bring in that intention of why. What's the purpose of me being intimate with myself or with someone else? What is the intention behind that? Is it to just feel good? Is it just because of lust, of desire, just like being an animal? Is it because my friend is doing it, I want to do it and I want to fit in? Is it because society says it's good? You know, again, we're bringing that intention back into every activity. We're bringing the consciousness back. And when we bring the consciousness, we're bringing in soul, we're bringing in spirit into the activity. And that is very transformative in whatever we are doing in life. So I'm sure you can go over this with every activity. It could be reading, it could be hanging out with your friends and family, it could be walking down the street, it could be shopping, it could be laughing. A lot of people don't consciously laugh. It could be many things in life, and I'm sure it's endless, the list of activities that we do unconsciously that have a negative effect when we are doing it unconsciously, and then if we do it positively, if we do it with consciousness, if we do it with intention, how that can very much transform what we are doing and transform it from something negative, from something that is harmful, into something that is positive. So, hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope this brings some more awareness and consciousness into whatever you're doing. Whether you're on your phone, whether you're watching television, whether you're eating, drinking, whatever that may be, exercising, breathing, just to be more conscious about it, and for you to be very intentional and to see why am I doing it? And of course, this is not about being perfect, but just simply about becoming aware. And over time, we can start to notice the cause and effect of what we are doing. If we are doing it unconsciously, that's going to have repercussions. If we're doing it consciously and very intentional, that's going to have positive repercussions on our life.